the gold sands is raised. Everyone here knows what that could mean to this football.
Well, good afternoon, Bournemouth fans. Hope you enjoyed that. AFC Bournemouth defeated Blackburn Rovers 3-2, and we were outscoring teams in order to win games. Who predicted that, eh? We called it. But we got back to winning ways on Saturday at home to Rovers. It was a sort of satisfying performance, which saw everything that we had to, really. It was a tentative start, the usual Bournemouth mistakes, but then a return to the Cherries brand of football that we've all been missing for months and months. There was an energy at times, there was a deep hunger, and Rovers did pose a reasonable threat, so much so they scored 2 goals. So the defensive issues are still there. But then we went back to our pre-season goal-scoring hero who came along, and what a world of a goal that was. Created all by himself, really. Started on the left, cut in on his right, and what a strike that was to make it 3-2. So we start the season with 3 points. And if you want to take part today, you're more than welcome to come on in. Now, the room's filling up already. We're going to bring in people as quickly and as often as we can, and we'll rotate as much as we can. If you've got an error trying to get into the room, be patient and try again in about 15 minutes where some space should have been cleared. There's how you need to take part. Just go to afcbpodcast.com/take part. If you can wear headphones, that is ideal, as that eliminates any feedback that we might be hearing. First person I'm going to bring in today is Keith Thomas. Keith, how are you, sir?
Very, very good, mate. That was a good win. That was more entertaining in that game than we did in the insipid season last. Really good. I like it. You scored 2, we scored 3. I quite like the 3 at the back. I know there's some debate about that. That was happening on Twitter. But, you know, once we get our shape ready, I think that's the way forward. So, you know, we've got Danjuma, who's absolutely superb. Solanke, really, really solid. And there was touches of quality by Stan as well. So we've got a really good front 3, and we've got Surridge as well. Midfield, is Lewis and Lerma the combination? I'm not so sure. Or should we drop another midfielder in when we're getting overrun, as we were doing at some points in the game? But generally speaking, that's the sort of brand of football I want. Whether others want that, I'm not so sure.
In many ways, it's nice that we've ended up in 3 points, but we've experienced the reality of the Championship. A team, Blackburn Rovers, that I think many are thinking are mid-table, who posed a goal-scoring threat. I mean, albeit it was our goalkeeper that made the mistake for the first, and I thought that we were defensively poor for the second. But really, if we took our chances, we should have been clear, and there should have been daylight between the two sides. So I think, to finish with 3 points from that match, I think it's the best of both worlds, because I'm sure Jason will be having a lot to ponder over the next few days as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Mowbray went brave. He put 3 up front, which put pressure on Travis, and we saw that pressure certainly in the first half. So he wasn't playing to play deep. He was playing to go on the offensive. 4-3-3 is an offensive formation, and you saw that in the scoreline. So I would expect to see a lot more 4-2-3-1s going forward. I think that seems to be the formation in the Championship, but that might change. But again, we're creating chances, creating overlaps, getting goals. And that's what it's all about. That's what wins games, sitting deep and what have you, like we were doing last season, and trying to play keep ball is not going to help us going forward, I think, anyway.
Okay, so we've got Callum, Morgan, Kirk, Craig and Andrew. They're all waiting, so we're going to bring them in now. You were saying just offline, Keith, that maybe one of the best signings that we've got for AFC Bournemouth this season is not one of the playing staff. It could be one of the coaches, by the way of Graham Jones. What's your thought behind that?
So you have to look back over his career. So he's worked with Martinez, and with that Wigan side. Okay, they got relegated, but they were punching like us above their weight. And also he worked with that superb Belgium side, and he's obviously been schooled in the way of Cruyff. Now, there's different ways you play with a back three. And what Cruyff, if you look at the Barcelona side, he liked to have what they call a register. That's somebody who brings out the ball and plays like a deep line forward. And also they also play with an inverted winger. Now, I think Graham Jones was trying to do that with Luton. It didn't work out. I think they're more limited team. But I think splitting up, I don't know how they worked it, but I assume that Jones is going to be the attacking coach and Purchase is going to be the defending coach. And then with JT doing the overall, that might develop the shape going forward. Expect to see Rico possibly playing as a centre back as well as a left back, and he be the guy at the back to pin the passes out. We really lack that today. That's someone who can play that longer ball, more direct ball, to get it out to Stacey, to get it out to Smithy in this case, although he was far more defensive, or Denjuma, and that's the way I think we're going to go. But obviously the defensive frailties are there. So is it a discussion worth having about having a 3-5-2 and helping out, if we're going to play Lerma and Cook, helping them out a little bit? The other thing to talk about is Brooks a false nine, or Solanke even being converted to a false nine, and letting the advanced, the wide strikers actually be the advanced players and letting Solanke come deep and helping out the midfield. So all these things are going to pan out over the next 6 months, I think. So, but football's a game of opinions, and I'm sure there'll be other people who might say otherwise. So
yeah, that's right. Well, I'm going to bring in Callum now, and also I'll bring in Kirk with Morgan and Craig standing by. So, Callum, good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, Sam. How you doing?
Yeah, nice to see you have a smile on your face.
Oh, mate, I've got to say, yeah, it's just good to have some positivity back. I think after watching that, I think in the lockdown when we were watching games, I was just each game that went by, I was just getting so down and just thinking something's got to change. And I think today, even though there's been talks of the performances being a little bit poor today, I think there's some positives to take from that. So yeah, I'm feeling good, mate.
Good stuff. And Kirk, who's with us as well. During lockdown, your sort of morning runs obviously were viewed by many people, and you did a bit of a Q&A during this morning's one, Kirk, but thankfully we got off to a good start, and nice to see you have a smile on your face as well, and a performance which shows our strengths and weaknesses and lots more besides, all in the course of 90 minutes, hey?
Yeah, we called it last week, didn't we? Outscored teams, edge of the sofa football, wasn't perfect. Let's be honest with ourselves, but we're winning football match. We got the 3 points, and that's what's important. I think we can see with the 3-4-3, and we saw it last week. There are going to be times throughout the season when we might become unstuck with it, but it worked today, and we did enough to get over the line. And
we all watched on AFCB TV. And for the most part, it worked. I think everyone had to refresh their stream on about 13 minutes or so. It all paused. Chris Temple and Willow sounded like robots towards the end of the first half and a little bit in the second. But overall, how did you find the experience of watching Keith? Because we were all kind of concerned, would it be a tin pot operation? But I've got to say, I quite enjoyed that.
I have a confession. I didn't watch it. I listened to it. And I'm quite old school. I like listening to football on the radio, and then I have my stats up and all that, so you can see the flow of the game. They were great, as always, Chris and Willow. But I did see on the Twitter feeds that there were low quality. Some people were receiving low quality. £10 a game, that's an awful lot of money as well, particularly for people who are struggling for income. Maybe they'll have to think about that. If the quality is not that good, that's going to be an issue going forward for the club. So maybe that needs to be addressed. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it on the Chris Temple's hairstyling and Cookie and all that. So.
Oh yeah, that was a very good observation and a few of us actually sort of noticed him get off the plane in Benfica. We thought, hang on a second, is he been at some Harley Street or something? But I actually found the stream all right, and I know it is £10, but that money does go direct to the club. I know that season ticket holders, they get the benefit of having the Sky games for free by getting a code. So there is some, benefit for them, but everyone basically pay. I mean, it's the same as any other match. Everyone pays for a ticket, but season ticket holders get a benefit, and that is for the Sky games. And I think obviously there's one coming up against Norwich, and we'll probably get a few more. And if we're up there, as per the Championship season in 2014, 2015, we've featured quite a bit. So season ticket holders might benefit, actually.
Especially if they're playing the style of football.
Well, exactly. It is an unpredictable style. Now, Callum, Dom Solanke, I was looking at him today and I thought, you know what? He did all right. There's a few people, I think someone said on chat that he had a great performance, and someone said Solanke assist 10 out of 10. That was James. Jeff Lerma confident finish. That's on the chat there. And Craig is saying 80-1 to be top scorer, good odds. But sometimes I find, Callum, with Dom Solanke, that he's almost looking to set someone up before he's looking to shoot. And if it was Defoe that was being put through, like that chance in the second half where Brooks put him in, there is no question that he would have taken a shot. It wasn't a dissimilar position to when Jordan Ibe set up Jermaine Defoe against Brighton at home, where we won 2-1, and he just smashed the shot low into the bottom corner. But Solanke is always looking up before he's looking at goal. Is that a good thing or bad thing in your eyes?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, really. I think he does lack confidence, Solanke, and I think his game is going to improve massively the better he does. I just think he's one of these players that's going to take quite a while. Obviously, we've been saying this for a while. But I think there's two sides to it. I think the way that he did set Lerms up, I think, was class, obviously, because if he had a shot from that position, he could have put it wide or it could have got blocked. But, yeah, I think we're yet to see the best of Solanke. But the frustrating thing is he does show glimmers of hope, and he does show moments of class. So I think it's just about consistency with him, really, a bit of confidence.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is also at this point in time bring in Morgan and also Jamie Carragher as well, or Craigie Carragher, as we like to call him. Morgan, what you might need to do is just adjust your screen so your head is slightly above your name, Aston, there on screen, because you're sort of getting hidden by your own name there. But Craig,
yeah.
You're smiling, mate, and you got a beard. What's going on?
I know. It's got a little bit mad, doesn't it? I look a bit more Chuck Norris, don't I now?
Yeah, I like it though. But, when we did that video that we sent to the players, which was played out in the stadium, by the way, so the players all saw it. So thank you to all who contributed, you and Kirk. You certainly did. Morgan was too late. Morgan, your timekeeping, we've got to work on that. But yeah, I saw it was quite wild on that. But it was a tentative start to the game, wasn't it? For Bournemouth. I didn't, for the first sort of 20, 25 minutes, I didn't really think, there was much between the two sides, but it was just a moment of brilliance from a player that we least expected that then made it 1-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think Blackburn were a very well-drilled side. They're not, I wouldn't say that they're a talented bunch of individuals. We've got a lot more talent on the pitch. However, they were so well drilled. They made it difficult for us. And that moment really opened the game completely up. I love Steve's message on the it's just popped up. I had to laugh at that. Yeah, he does give me some sticks, Steve. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was fantastic. Would anybody have guessed Stacey was going to get one today? I didn't know. I was probably the last person.
It reminded me of I can't remember what match it was, but it was a free kick that Bournemouth had, and it was Frano that popped up. It was a low drive into the bottom corner of the net for Frano, and it was fairly similar. Hit it with such venom, and it was going towards the keeper, then it sort of curled away. And I thought at that stage of time, it was a good time to score because Blackburn were pressing really high, and they know that we like to play out from the back, and that's going to be the same as most teams in the Premier League that have dropped down because they will have that style of a football and keep with it. We play sort of Bournemouth ball. We like to play that kind of free flowing attacking football. We don't just hump it up the pitch. So they knew what to do, but I thought after that. then it would probably stretch the game out a bit more. And to be fair, it did. And we did look like the Bournemouth of old at times. But then there was a stage where Blackburn slowly started to come back into it. And it was just a nothing shot, really. And then Mark Travers, moment to forget, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The thing is, when you play three at the back, there's always going to be those gaps that open up. And he saw the line of sight and he went for it. And Travis should have done better. He had a good view of it. It's probably one for him to forget. However, I'm sure Jason will just put his arm around him and just say, look, it's happened. We've got the 3 points anyway. And just learn from it. So, yeah, I think he should have done a lot better. But you're always going to open yourself up, and there's going to be those moments where there is that line of sight. And to be fair, the Blackburn player, what was his name? He did take it very, very well.
Bradley Johnson.
Yeah,
Bradley Johnson. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he was Armstrong, the second one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I saw Weymouth v Dorchester in the week, as many people who subscribe to the channel will have probably seen. And there was a shot from that Weymouth had that was very similar from distance, and the keeper managed to easily clear it. And I don't know, it's one of those things where you think what's going to happen with Begovic. Is he going to be involved or not, and are we going to be looking for another keeper? But we don't really know. And by the way, Ben on chat saying cannot remember Frano scoring. This was back in League One. This wasn't in the Premier League days. But
was it?
Was
it against Wigan?
Wasn't it?
Was it Wigan?
I think it was.
Was it? No, I'm not. No, I think it was like Leyton Orient or someone. I can't remember. But he did score in a game against Wigan. I know that because we won 2-0 and he scored the second, I think. I could be completely wrong. But anyway, Morgan, you've been quiet so far, which is rather unlike you, mate. You must be ecstatic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's giving you a late birthday present. So happy birthday again for yesterday, Sam. But
cheers, buddy.
But as some people were saying on Twitter, by not the best performance in the world, but definitely better than what we were offering last season, And what I saw from Bournemouth today, if they weren't waiting for ages to go behind, they were wanting to come back in front quite soon on. And, we've seen some brilliant goals today, from Jack Stacey and Jefferson Lerma, who I wasn't thinking was going to get on the score sheet. And then that thundering effort from Dan Juma, and how Solanke didn't get one from a fantastic save by the Blackburn keeper. I'm not sure, but really positive. And we go into the cup game against Palace in midweek on the back of 3 points. So hopefully we can push on.
Can't say further than that. Keith, closing statements, because what we're going to do, we're going to rotate it. We've got a couple of people that we are ready for, but you're welcome to come back in later. We're going to be on for about an hour today, but obviously, lots to be talking about. Maybe, obviously the results we're all pleased about, but it's a performance that I'm sure that JT's going to watch a couple of times, and there'll be new things he's learning every time he watches it. Who do you think the man of the match was, to start off with that? Who would you say is the man that stood out for you on the pitch?
Ben Juma. That goal, absolutely spot on. And I thought his trickery was causing all sorts of problems for their fullback. And he seems to get the formation straight away. The guy I have a worry about, I think he's playing out of position, is Smith, because he's playing as this inverted winger. And I don't think he's got a grip on the role yet, because what you're meant to do is come into the midfield, support the midfield, and just really keep it back two and stifle that midfield play. And we didn't really do that today. But Denjuma, Stacey, great goal. And in terms of, I thought Cookie was okay. He made, considering he was on the yellow tackle, he made some key tackles at the end. Yeah. So, and there was a lot of doubters about him, but he looked assured. In fact, the back three looked assured. What Blackburn were doing is playing with the front three is they're manning up. And of course, if you're a young and inexperienced keeper whose distribution, and I think that's the problem with Travis, is weak, then you're immediately inviting on pressure. And that Mowbray read that game well. So this is no gimme, this game, and none of them are going to be gimme. But Danjuma is class. Like to see actually if Solanke will get occasionally replaced by Brooks and playing a withdrawn striker and let him do damage in that space. So lots to think about, but we've got to get to grip with the shape. But that will take, it's going to take a couple of months because we're coming from an insipid 4-4-2 into one of the most adventurous formations in the game. None other than Johan Cruyff. But I'd like to talk about him later and what that philosophy is about. But exciting. And let's hope it continues a little bit more.
Fingers crossed. Nice one, Keith. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
See you later. I'll be on all the time, so I'll come back in anytime, mate.
Yeah, no worries at all. Excellent. And Callum, does it worry you in terms of the lack here, the lack of options? Because if we did get Stanislas injured, Brooks injured, Danjuma, we're then looking and thinking, who on earth is going to be playing? I mean, we'll probably have to change our formation. I don't think we could do the 3-4-3. It's quite worrying. And at the moment, we are kind of thinking we've got some great players to pick from. But as soon as a couple of them are out, we are then bare bones already. And, given our history with getting injuries, it's something that I'm quite surprised we've not made any signings yet. And do you think it's almost a case of, because everyone's been mentioning Mark Pugh as an option. I know that Kirk is an advocate, for that one as well. It's, just a case of waiting and seeing how we'll do. And if needed, obviously we can only work within the windows we've got to pick him up and add him as one potential option when we need it.
Yeah, I do think it's a worry. I think I was quite surprised in the window that we didn't sign at least one or two players so far anyway. I think it does leave us short, you're right. I think with the squad we got, look, we've got to remember a manager's just left. We're adjusting to a brand new system. The games that are on now, there's no fans in the stadium. There's a lot of change for everybody involved, and a lot of football clubs as well during this strange period. So I think, let's see how it goes until the end of the window. But you are right. I think we would majorly miss some key players there. And then who have we got to come in and back them up? We're looking at youth team players. Our bench today as well looked questionable, but in terms of who else have we got to bring in, personally, I would definitely welcome Mark Pugh back. I think to have him in the squad would be massively welcomed. I know there was talk of Richie. I don't know if that deal's going to happen now. It looks like that's faded away.
Yeah.
But no, I do. When there was the post about the player number assignments yesterday on Twitter, and you look at that squad and you just think, I think we do need to boost it somewhere. But who are we going to get in? Who's going to come?
That's right. And judging from what we're seeing at the moment, I know that he's only, we've been looking at a couple of options, but we're sort of looking around the £1 million sort of mark, and we've been looking at some guy from Ipswich, Kirk. Do you know much about him? And then there was there are players that we're not really sure of whose stats are not amazingly favourable. And I know you can't look at stats alone, but it's very difficult. But let's be positive. We won 3-2.
Just last thing on that. I just think we've got to get into perspective. I think today was taking all things considered, like I just said, coming into a first game of the season after being relegated, losing a manager, after playing in front of no fans whatsoever. Yes, it's the same for every club, but from that performance, I actually took more positive than negatives away from that. And I'm personally very excited for Danjuma as well. I think he has got so much more to offer moving forward. There's a lot of potential there. And to be honest with you, who else would you want in that situation when he picked up the ball on the edge of the box? Would you want Danjuma as he's playing now, or Callum Wilson? For me, it'd be Danjuma. So I think moving forwards, we've got to look at the positives and see where we can go from there. Brilliant. Callum, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. And up the Cherries.
I'll ask Morgan. We're going to bring in John and Heather very, very shortly, as well as Reese, who's standing by. Reese, we'll bring you in. I can see you there smiling, good man, and also Steve Hensman as well, looking suave in his cherry shirt of old there. He's sticking his arm up. Good lad. We'll bring him in very shortly. Morgan, Lewis Cook, he's a player that I don't feel as though we got the most out of in the Premier League, and many of us were wondering, would anyone snap him up? Leeds was one of the teams that obviously might have been interested, but he's there with with Jefferson Lerma in the centre midfield. How do you think he did today? Because some people are saying that the Championship is a league that he could well thrive in.
Yeah, that's I've got like a little match report down here in front of me, and looking at it, he was driving forward quite a lot. Now we haven't Lewis Cook. He got that ACL injury. So obviously since that he hasn't been back to hit the best of what we saw of him in the early days of his career at AFC Bournemouth. But I thought driving forward today, he won a few fouls in the middle of the park. I thought he wanted to, as mentioned by Chris Temple in commentary, and yes, it did bounce, but he took 2 or 3 Blackburn defenders on, and he looked sharp. He looked really, really good. Yeah, he had a little shot. I know it didn't go on target, but I haven't seen that from Lewis Cook in some time, and he hasn't scored for Bournemouth, so he did definitely look better than what we've seen of him last season. So yeah, he looks a good aspect to a very good AFC Bournemouth team.
Brilliant. So, Steve, I'm going to bring you in very, very shortly. But first, we've got John and Heather that I'm pleased to be bringing in. Guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, good to be back. Thank you. Yeah, we're really well.
You both got smiles on your faces today. Pleased with the 3-2 win, and nice to be starting off with 3 points straight away. Eh?
Yeah. Obviously, you had me on the show before.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great to obviously see the first game back today in the Championship and smash it 3-2. So yeah, very happy, aren't we?
Yeah. It's my birthday today as well. So
happy birthday! What a treat that is! It was mine yesterday, and it's yours today.
So, happy birthday for yesterday, Sam.
Thank you very much. And you know what? It's just what did you think of Blackburn? Did you think it was a team that was going to pose a test for us? Because I must admit, and this is what being a Premier League fan does to you, I don't take any notice of the Championship, so I couldn't have even told you whereabouts they finished last season. I gather mid-table somewhere. I don't know, but did you know what to expect?
No, I didn't really look in. We didn't look into it, did we? We just thought, let's just enjoy it, see what happens. When we got the first goal, I was like, yes, come on. I thought we were going to steamroll them after that. But surprisingly, yeah, it was very even. I thought it was Blackburn, Bournemouth. There was no team that was really taking it, I didn't think. So, but in the second half, we came out and we actually missed the goal, didn't we? Because we were having a picnic outside and we were watching it on my laptop.
Yeah.
And then we went, we're staying somewhere at the moment, and we just missed the start of the second half. So we went back on and we were like, oh, it's 2-1. So that was a nice little treat to see coming back for the second half. And Dan Juma's goal, wow, that was
class apart.
I
honestly thought that, we went 1-0 up, and Bournemouth being Bournemouth, it wouldn't be a Bournemouth performance if we'd gone 2-0 up and 3-0 up, because it always has to be difficult.
Very nervy, yeah.
We conceded, and then we went 2-1 up, and I thought, well, that's it now. We will go 3-1, 4-1, or whatever. But then we did what Bournemouth do. Almost conceded a third, barring offside. But thankfully, what's good now is when the whistle goes, that's it. And
I kept saying, come on, 5 minutes, let's get 5 minutes.
And then, it didn't go to VAR, thankfully, because there isn't VAR. And then, as you say, Dan Juma, what a goal that was. And it was one of these, he was fed
the composure he had as well. And he kind of turned in on his, sort of cut in, didn't he, on his right. And then he kind of kept his balance, and the shot he got off was unreal.
And obviously, we're all talking about sort of Arnaud Danjuma. Is he this sort of player that you're most excited about watching this season?
Yeah, obviously, I said to you before, like Stanislas was my man. He still is. He's still my favourite player. But yeah, I think it's kind of all up for grabs as to who's going to be the our player. Like, I think Solanke still has his time to shine.
Yeah.
And
that's
I think I've heard
Kirk,
you say. I think Kirk, you said before he's not like an all-out and out striker. I think I'd agree, but I think when he gets his chances, he will bury them. But I think potentially Dan Juma could be the one who's smashing in our goals. Looking at that, but we don't know, do we? Just enjoy it as it comes. Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably sound like a broken record at some point, but yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week. I mean, I just don't see Solanke as that natural goal scorer. And like Sam highlighted, although Lerma scored a brilliant goal, 2 or 5 seconds before that goal went in, Solanke has a perfect opportunity to pull the trigger and shoot. Now, a natural, ruthless goal scorer, and if you look like an old Defoe, an Alan Shearer, Harry Kane, I'm telling you that they're not laying that off to Lerma. Okay, and that for me is he's always looking, and he doesn't mind being the provider as well as scoring, and that's probably my only concern as I have with him, and I said it last week, is I don't think he'll score us 20 goals because he's not ruthless like that. So I think he'll score us 10 or 15, but this is where, if we don't get goals from Danjuma and Brooks and Stanislas, we might fall short in games, because you do need another striker in the Championship over 46 games who's going to score you 20 goals. And I thought it highlighted in that chance that he didn't hit it and then he laid it off. And I wouldn't have seen Harry Kane do that.
To be honest,
do you think it's a confidence thing? Do you think that's just how he is? Do you think he can develop with the right players around him, or is that just how he's going to be? Solanke?
I thought originally it was confidence, but since Leicester and when he gets on the ball, he's really confident, because he's happy to take it on, lay people, collect the ball deep, give it wide, So I don't think it's a confidence thing. I just think really he's a number 10. He likes to come and get it and play off a striker. The problem's going to be in this 3-4-3 that we look like it's going to be our favoured formation, but we ain't going to play it all season because you can't. Is that he's going to have to be a number 9 striker, and if we do bring in another striker, where does Solanke go? So I could digest this game for an hour, being the AFC Bournemouth Gary Neville, but
John Terry, I remember all that.
But he's just not going to. I just can't see him scoring 20 goals. But I think he is a good player. I think he played well at West Ham last week. I thought he played well today. But yeah, we've got to try and fit another striker in there somehow in this formation.
To be honest, I think he was lucky that, he's playing around Lerma, because Lerma is capable of doing that sort of thing like we saw today. I completely agree with you, Kirk. If he is playing, up in the front two, I can't see him scoring 20 goals, unless that is what Jason Tyndall's idea is to bring in another striker, whoever that might be, and then when we go to a 4-4-2, for example, playing Surridge and another, whoever that might be. But I can't see Solanke scoring 20 goals, even at this level, which, is concerning.
Yeah, I think that's realistic from what we're seeing, and I think we need another striker that's going to take that pressure off Solanke as well, because we don't want him to be thinking all the pressure's on him to be this top striker, when if that's what naturally he's not going to be, then. But maybe we already have it in Danjuma and we could switch some players around. I don't know.
The problem is that won't fit in a 3-4-3. So this is where JT, Stephen Purchase and Graham Jones will go away today and go, this formation is working perfectly. But if we now bring in another striker because we don't see Solanke scoring 20 goals, then you've got to look at a formation change. So as I said, you could digest this game so many ways. It's like the Gosling and Billing. This formation is going to work for half the squad and not for the other half. How do you fit Billing and Gosling into a 3-4-3? Because for me, they're better in a 3 in centre midfield. So you're looking at a 3-5-2. It's going to be a tough one for them to adapt this 3-4-3 and other formations to bring in other players throughout the season.
Yeah, I just hope. I don't think today is necessarily like a snapshot of that's what Solanke is. I just think it's early days. Let's take the win. Let's be happy with the players that got our goals, and happy Cherries, and let's see what Solanke brings in the season.
John and Heather,
Yeah,
thank
up
you
in
so much for
Cherries.
coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And
Up
yeah,
in Cherries,
good to
lads.
see you
Thank
smiling.
you.
Yeah, good stuff. Cheers,
Cheers.
John. Cheers, Heather. Thank you very much. And what I'm going to do also is I will bring in Steve Hensman because I said I would. And also, we've got David Cordell as here from Washington as well.
Evening, gents. Hey.
Evening, Steve. How be thee tonight?
Oh, well, what a roller coaster that was, eh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was up, I was down, I was up, I was down. I didn't know what. Oh, good dear. Chaps, I don't know really what to. It's like Callum and everyone's just been saying. We can't take much out of that at all. It's first game of the season. We didn't know how it was all going to go. New division. The main thing is the 3 points. I think we lost the game a little bit when we took Lerma off. I didn't really understand why, apart from if he was just protecting him from the cards. I didn't really know why we took him off, but we seemed to lose in midfield then. But on the whole, it's more pluses than it was minuses, but still defensive frailties, as we've alluded to already. So, don't know, mixed bag.
To be honest, I think one moment we did struggle with was when Blackburn made that double change.
But then we took Lerma off at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
And that sort of switched it, I thought. Switched the momentum.
I know he wasn't on the bench, but as funny as it sounds, I reckon the best player to have come on at that time if we were going to replace Lerma in that 4 midfield would have been someone like Harry Arter. And I know it sounds madness, but that would have been an ideal change, like for like, because Goslin's not a
destroyer.
Goslin's not a Lerma. Do you know what I mean? I mean, even maybe Namdi could have come on in that and played that role where he just sort of picks up the pieces, breaks the game down, and then starts the next attack. But that's not Goslin.
David Cordell, what was your view from Washington on that, please?
Overall, I mean, we got 3 points. That's what we wanted, right? So that's the most important thing. I wanted to say a couple of things. One is, I love the fact there's no VAR. Oh my God! Thank God we don't have to deal with that. Secondly, the streaming service actually worked, which I was kind of amazed about. So congratulations to the club for getting that up. I think the one area today that we were weak on, and I was looking at the stats after the game, we didn't tackle as much as they did. We didn't win as many tackles. I thought somehow, especially in the first half, we were kind of like treating it like a Premier League game, and we weren't getting the time that we don't get the time that you had in the Premier League. And I think a lot of the time, especially in that first 5 or 10 minutes, we were being out hustled. And that's something I think we need to work on in Championship. But hey, 3 points, great goals. Jack Stacey was fantastic. I thought the Danjuma goal was fantastic. I disagree with you about Solanke. I think he's naturally not a selfish player. And so I think he laid it on. And I think actually in that particular situation, that was the right thing to do. Of course, if Lerma had missed, we would have said he should have scored. But, you know.
And we've got Lloyd Kelly to thank for that, for one of the last-ditch challenges that he made. That, I mean, I don't know whether the shot was going on target. Obviously, with their 4-camera setup that they've got, we haven't got the advantage of having like 12 different cameras covering the game. But it looked like it was going on target, and it was almost Nathan Ake-ish at times. But then you could say that he did maybe contribute to a defensive failure, Morgan, when Blackburn equalised, because he was caught napping down the left-hand side, wasn't he? And they managed to cross it easy, and he seemed to have a lot of time to get the ball controlled, turn, swivel, shoot past Travers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Lloyd Kelly today, if I'm honest with you guys. I think he, I think he's got the shirt of that Ake had, number 5, if I'm not mistaken. But I think the pressure kind of got to him a little bit today, and I'm not sure why, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not going to try and read too much into it, but he did look a little bit shaky. Some balls back. I thought Mark Travers was pressed quite a bit, but Lloyd Kelly today looked a little bit. I'm not sure if it's playing the 3. He hasn't. I know he played the end of last season, but he looked a little bit nervous today at the in the system of the 3 at the back, and I'm not kind of sure why. First game back, might be a bit rusty. He's just been on international duty. I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with it. But today he looked a little bit sketchy, if I'm honest. But hopefully he can put that behind him.
What did you think about Travers? I mean, because that goal that he gave up was like, oh my god, that's
you know,
We didn't really have much to do apart from that, did he?
Nah, to be honest with you, I think it's something that he'll learn from. I think, you know, he's just been away with Ireland again. I'm not making excuses. You shouldn't be letting them in. But, you know, the commentary said at half time. Yeah, Neil, you know, he'll learn from this. You know, we look at Aaron Ramsdale. I'm sure he made a few mistakes. We haven't seen what Travers.
Look at De Gea.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Dean Henderson be on his account this season. So, yeah.
David Brooks, when he came on, I thought he was relatively effective, and you know, nearly put Solanke through for that shot that he, you know, should have taken. A lot of people were thinking they had the lineup nailed, and there was always that one question. I mean, as it turned out, there were two questions. I mean, Rico or Mepham. Rico was injured anyway, but then up top it was Stanislas or Brooks. Do you think that was the right call, Kirk, to go with Stanislas?
Big fan of David Brooks. I've always said that, quality player on his day. You just can't bench Stanislas at the moment. He was absolutely awesome since football's returned, even though he still got relegated. He was one of our better players. He was brilliant last weekend. And I really love the interlinking and interchanging of movement between him and Danjuma at the moment. You can clearly see that they've been working on that in the training ground. And I said this last week, he's not hugging the touchline or they're not running down sidelines. They're one's on the left, one's on the right. 5 minutes later, they swapped over. And that's difficult as a fullback to try and mark and manage that, because 1 minute they're playing up against one attacking midfielder who's very good with his feet, and then the next minute they've got Danjuma they've got to deal with. So, you know, as tough as it is for Brooks, and really we shouldn't be sticking him on the bench. I don't see how you get him in this formation at the moment. For me, until Stanislas or Danjuma has a dip in form, I'd keep going with this at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, Kirk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out for a second, if that's all right, because we're going to bring in a couple of others. So, hang about. We'll be here for an hour, so no doubt you'll be back in. If you want to take part, by the way, just grab a pair of headphones. Go to afcbpodcast.com/take part. When you do, you have to authenticate with either Facebook or YouTube. It's up to you which one. After you've done that, you will then be in the room. So yeah, Kirk, I will speak to you again very, very shortly. I should really just call you Gary Neville, because, you know, that's your real name. And also Morgan as well. I'll bring you back as well. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
Yeah, we got Keith coming back as well. However, we have got Jeremy, Wild, and Will standing by. So Jeremy over in the States, and also Will. Firstly, Jeremy, I'll come to you. How are you, sir? You all right?
I'm doing well. Very frustrating. I could not get the game today. So the wife and I had breakfast and did some shopping, and I was checking every web board I could find. I'm curious. I have a couple of questions for you guys. It seemed we would score or we would give up a goal. We would score or we would give up a goal. So are we as maybe weak defensively as it seemed? And then the second thing I will say, in American football, especially college football, the old saying is teams improve the most from week 1 to week 2. Is that the case in football there in the UK? I'm just curious. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I personally, I think, you know, we will get better. I think Blackburn were a well-drilled side. However, if we were playing Brentford, we would have had a lot more problems. So there needs to be that improvement. But I believe there will be progress made, as Kirk mentioned and many people have mentioned in the past as well. We've got the nice problem to have of having 3 very, very capable wingers. So Danjuma, Stanislas, and Brooks. And I think JT made the right decision today. Whether or not that would be the right decision against every team, you have to do it on a team-by-team basis. But Blackburn, for me, held a lot of unknowns. I hadn't really looked at them, to be honest. I haven't really looked at the Championship in much detail for the past 5 seasons. So what I found was a very well-drilled side. A side that had done their homework on us, but at the same time, I think we will improve, and I'm sure JT and the staff have been looking at that game last night, and I'm confident we'll get something from Middlesbrough. I'm confident we'll probably get 3 points from them.
But don't you think? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just curious. Do you think he's going to drop to a back four, and not a 4-4-2, but rather than a 3-4-3, run a 4-3? What is that? My math 4-3-3. I mean, what is he going to change the formation, or is it just way too early to panic?
Against certain teams, I think he will do. I think he made the right decision against Blackburn, which was the case of we'll get one more than you, which is the way we've played in the past, and it was refreshing to see that back. I think the tougher teams, the likes of Brentford, derbies, those sort of teams, I think then he may look at a bit more of defensive. Okay, let's go to the 4-4-2, and I think it really does depend.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so Will, I'm going to come to you, buddy. How are you, mate? 3-2, not bad.
Yeah, we've got a first win in the bag. It's a good feeling. It seems like quite a classic Championship Bournemouth match where we just look so horrendous at the back, but going forward it's really exciting. So I think in a way it's actually good that we've had our first horrendous defensive display of the season, because it means that it's something to build on, and it's something that we're still in the transfer window. We can bring in some defensive players if needs be.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and it does sum up. I mean, just thinking about it reminds me of, there's many games that I can think of. I mean, Birmingham at home. I mean, in that one we went 2-0 down, but we managed to come back to 2-2 and then score a couple. And it was this kind of like me and Kirk have said, it's an attitude of, if you go score, we'll go score another, because we know that we've got the attacking players. However, defensively, I mean, you look at who we had out there. Chris Mepham, international experience with Wales. Steve Cook got so many Premier League appearances under his belt. Lloyd Kelly, star of the future. You think that those three surely should have been a bit more stable. And then then on one side you've got Stacey, and then you've got Adam Smith. You're thinking, how have they not been solid?
I guess in one mindset you could say that these five I don't think we've ever seen this five play together defensively. So it could just be teething problems. First game playing together at the back, but on the other hand, this in my opinion is our best back three: Kelly, Cook, and Mepham. So I did kind of want to see a bit more from those players, but we got the 3 points. I think that's what matters at the end of the day. And going forward, we were really quite strong. Posed a lot of problems to the Blackburn defence. I remember just before they started, a lot of the Blackburn fans were sort of commenting on their team sheets saying, we're going to get torn apart down our right hand side. And we weren't actually attacking down their left-hand side, but we weren't actually attacking down the right. We were just attacking down the left. And then in the second half, we just started attacking down the right-hand side more. And their left back was just pretty useless, couldn't really handle us. So I think all in all, made some good decisions, and it was a good team talk by Tyndall at halftime as well.
I don't actually think that defensively it was that shocking a performance. The thing is with that back three, if a team are going to counter-attack you, with that back three, there is always going to be gaps that are going to open up. And for that first goal, they took it well. The second goal, we should have done a lot better. But Lloyd Kelly's stop, which we've already mentioned,
that was fantastic.
And from just going back to that, I think that was going straight into the bottom right-hand corner, to be fair. So it was a fantastic stop. I think Travers may have struggled to get to that as well.
I think we've all got a feel for Travers a little bit, but at the same time, he it was really quite a poor performance by Travers.
What would you do if you're?
Sorry.
I mean, what would you do if you're Jason Tyndall? Would you take the approach of, you know what, I'm going to pounce on any mistake that you make, and bring in the number 2 for your position, or do you give him a bit of time to bed in? Because there's a couple of ways you could go with this.
I think it's good actually that we've got the cup next game, so we can see how well another keeper does. And if that keeper does amazing against Crystal Palace, why not give them a shot?
Yeah.
But I don't think there's it's just one game. We don't need to pounce on getting Travers out as much. We know that he is a very promising keeper, and we know the quality that he can bring to games. So,
do you think we need to? Do you think we need to bring? I mean, my fear is, with the season being so long, and with the injuries that we've had in the past, we need to bring some more players in for depth. I think we have a great starting 11, but it's the depth that worries me with the long season.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be quite interesting to see which players play against Palace, because when you got the league is our priority. It would be nice to have a little cup run. It would be nice to go to Man City, but at the same time, getting straight back out of this league, has got to be our number 1 priority. And I think 3, probably more than that, of those players that are out there today will have to play against Palace. Then they've got the game against Middlesbrough, and then if we get through, then game against Man City, and then whoever we got after that. It's an intense season, and it's been a problem for a lot of teams who have been up there right until March, and then completely collapsed in the past. So I think we need to bring, like you say, David, I think we need to bring in a bit more depth. I think Mark Pugh is a great start. He knows the club. I think, he would be a definite shoo-in for the Palace game. And, he can come off the bench and make that difference if we're struggling in a game. What about
Jack Wilshere? I mean, I'm hearing rumours that West Ham
I can't see it. I think wages are just going to be too much of a problem. I think what we really need is one up front. I think Mark Pugh would be great to get in as well. I think we probably need a defender.
How do you think he'd have done in a game like today, Craig, Pewey? Because it was weird with Pewey, because sometimes he would be absolutely brilliant and a game changer. In most games, he's fairly solid, and then in other games, he'd be quite ineffective. He wouldn't necessarily do anything wrong, but he wouldn't have the impact. But what would you say, like in a game like today? Do you think he would have been useful?
Well, he wouldn't have started. Definitely wouldn't have started at all, especially with the options that we've got. However, I think he would have really got stuck in. He would have made those runs like he did in the past. He's not got the legs as much, but towards the end of the game, especially if Stanislas was struggling a little bit, you could bring him off, put Pewey on, and he could hold that position, make it his own for 20, 25 minutes. I can't imagine. I don't think he could do 90 minutes. Well,
we've got a lot of youngsters knocking about that we can start bedding in.
Right.
Especially in the cup games.
Lamdy, I think, he's definitely one after what he did at Wickham. I think,
like David said, we're gonna get injuries, and if those players aren't up to speed, we're gonna I think we're gonna have to call on them at some point.
The thing about Pewey, though,
we don't spend.
There's two things about Pewey that I first of all, I don't think he's going to want that much money. I think he's at the end of his career. The second thing is,
let's give him some quinoa or something.
Well, wait a second. it's his attitude on the training ground that would also help rub off on the young players. And the third thing, you talk about the quinoa, I was going to say that we can make him the team chef, and that way we could save money and the players would eat well.
His food does look very, very good. I saw, lovely. Wow, lovely.
He's got a chef doing it for him. Come on.
I'll tell him you said that, Steve, after you said about my beard.
Here's what I made. It's quite interesting, like all the players that people have been talking about, and as I say on Twitter, like people have been almost trying to tap up players. But I've got to say, as a podcast, we don't want to get involved in any of that stuff at all. Not at all. We won't do that.
Wait. You need to add something there. It brings back Jack, but take a few less wages.
Steve, would it be fair to say that Blackburn today posed a hell of a lot more of a threat than Premier League West Ham did last week? Because West Ham were dog last week, weren't they?
Absolutely. I thought Blackburn were. I think a few people have said it before. They were very well drilled. I mean, they're no mugs. They're a decent Championship side, and they finished. I think they went on a bit of a run last season where they were down the lower table, and then they ended up mid-table. So they were. I think it's easy to underestimate them. Coming from the Premier League, we sort of expect to be walking over these teams, but equally, each one of these games we're going to come up against from now on in is going to be mark my words, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle we're going to have to be up for.
A whole 5 people watching said, Matthew, that's on Facebook, which is our worst platform. Periscope and Twitter. At the moment, there's 170 on board. So thank you, Matthew. If you want to come on, you are more than welcome.
Yeah, Matthew's one of the 5, right?
Yeah.
What does that say?
Anyway, so Jeremy, hopefully your stream will be working for the next game. Are you going to do one of these like subscription packages that they seem to be doing, or what?
I thought about it, but I didn't want to do the first game. Maybe not even the second game, just to let the glitches get through. And I was concerned to pay the money and then turn around and have it buffering problems and not have a good stream. So one thing I wanted to talk about. I've got a question real quick for you guys.
Yeah.
Danjuma has just come of age here in the last few weeks, and I agree we need to get depth on the squad. But my question regarding Danjuma is, how long are we going to keep this guy? If he continues this, I know it's early, but if he continues the way he's playing, we're going to have quite a few suitors coming knocking on the door for him. And right now, I mean, he's obviously the best on the team.
Well, I'll put that one to Will, actually, because we're going to do a bit of a switch around. And I suppose, we're in a situation whereby the better we are in these next 3 months, it's going to be a horrendous following transfer window that we might have, where we could have some of our cherries picked by Premier League teams, in which case there will be a lot of pressure on us in the transfer window that we kind of haven't really had in this window, because we've known that even though the stars that we knew were going to go went, we still retain the nucleus of a bloody decent squad.
I think it's just going to be down to the board, really, whether they feel like we have to sell any more players. If somebody comes in with a substantial enough offer that will turn the head of Danjuma or Brooks. So it really all depends down to whether somebody actually comes in for them. But hopefully we can keep hold of them, and I think if we can keep hold of both Danjuma and Brooks, we've got a very strong chance of getting up there, at least around the promotion spots.
The problem in the Championship.
Sorry, David.
The problem in the Championship, though, is that if somebody comes in with the big money and it meets what the value is that the club wants, we're gonna sell them. I mean, that's just the way it is. But hopefully, he plays well, but not so well. So you want it sort of in between. You don't want him playing so well that the Liverpools are coming after him. I'm just glad that Ryan Fraser's gone. That's my absolute.
Well, I mean, you say that, David, and I think sometimes, like with Eddie Howe, there were numerous times that Eddie had suitors of, clubs that were thinking, he would be a great manager for us. But then we always went on bad runs after that. And, we won a match, then we lost a match. And it was almost like he was doing it on purpose to retain his position at Bournemouth. And yeah, in a way, you're probably right with that. But anyway, we're going to switch it up now because we've got a couple of people waiting to come in, if that's right. David, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And enjoy your week.
Yeah, we will. See you next week with another win.
Yeah, good stuff. And Jeremy, hopefully you can watch the stream and the commentary. I mean, the pictures were good. There was one issue where everyone had to refresh their browser. The commentary, the sound distorted. Chris Temple, it started to sound like Cher Believe. Like at one stage,
like
it did sound a little bit weird. But
well, one thing, guys, my wife and I, when we listen to Chris Temple and Willow, we always say that Willow sounds like Onslow from Keeping Up Appearances, if you remember that show. So
yeah.
It's hilarious to listen to him. And I always picture Onslow, the big fat guy sitting on the couch with a beer, and the wife's always flirting with him.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Absolutely love it. Jeremy, appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Take care over there.
Yeah, thank you, mate. And what we're going to do also, let's just see. Morgan, if you're standing by, you can come back very shortly. And Will, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And,
cheers for having me on.
Yeah, no worries.
Cheers, Will.
Any time you want to come on in the future, just let us know. Cheers, buddy. Thank you very much. And it's us three. However, we've got Keith as well. Kirk standing by. Morgan's on the other side of his room, nowhere near his iPad at the moment, so we won't be bringing him back just yet. Morgan, I think you might look as though you're done for today. He's probably watching the football. So,
just very quickly, actually, on that point that Jeremy made, I think what we need to do, if we can get to the end of this transfer window, and with this squad, I think what we need to do is, if we're challenging in January, we need to tell teams where to go, because
we have to be brave with it.
Exactly, we've got to go for it.
It's a fine line. If we can get promoted, then we probably will say that. If we're in mid-table, we'll probably be a bit more. Oh, okay, we could do with the money in the bank.
Exactly. Yeah.
I agree.
It's going to be a balancing act, isn't it? What do you think we're going to do for Palace? Who do you think we're going to start? Because, I mean, it's a competition that I would be happy to basically forfeit, really, because I just don't see the point in it. I honestly thought that this season they would get rid of it, but not the case.
Especially seeing as Man City's round the corner as well. We're not going to go very far in it.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, I personally... I'm not too bothered about a trip to Man City. The same, okay, it would be nice for some of the youngsters, but personally, I think it's the bread and butter is the Championship, getting ourselves in a position where we can challenge to get back into the Premier League, and we haven't got a big enough squad now with the players that we've lost. Like I say, I think we need Pewee back. I think we need a striker. I think we need a defender. Pinpointed. I mentioned a couple of weeks back about Puskas at Reading, and he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He's a player that my brothers sing his praises all the time, but I think he would be better in our side. Because there was a couple of games last season that they pinpointed out and said, I think he scored 2 hat-tricks, but I think he ended on about 9 goals. But in our system, he'd be a lot better than he is there. So that's why I think, he's a player that maybe we should look at.
Right, I'll tell you what, we're going to pause for a couple of moments because we're going to bring in a Cherries legend, by the way, of Ethan. We're going to bring him in, and everyone knows all about Ethan, so we're going to chat to him now and get his opinion on today's game. Ethan, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad at all. 3-2. How are you feeling?
Feeling great. Great result. And great team.
Who was your player of the match today?
Probably Dan Juma.
Good man.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Easy choice.
Great third goal, wasn't it? I mean, when you saw him, running off down that left wing, there was probably no doubt in your mind that he was going to cut in and then strike it with his right foot. And he's got a good right foot. We've known that from the West Ham friendly.
Yeah. Great strike.
Elsewhere, it was a great strike. Elsewhere, who stood out for you today in a Bournemouth shirt?
Probably Lama. Really strong.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And, JT, he's got your full support, hasn't he? I mean, obviously, we were all very sad and disappointed, that Eddie left. I mean, you've met most people at AFC Bournemouth. You're like a celebrity there, like Ethan. You walk around the ground, everyone's saying, like, hello to you. But you've met JT as well, have you?
Yeah.
And what's he like to deal with? Is he, is he a nice guy to talk to?
Yeah, very nice guy to talk to. Like, really nice.
Oh, good. And have you got hopes that we can get promoted, or do you think it's a bit over optimistic that because most Bournemouth fans are thinking we can win the league, we can come top 2, or do you think that's maybe a bit over ambitious?
I think it might be a bit over, but like we've been doing well, but have to wait and see.
One thing with you though, Ethan, you're a loyal supporter, so it doesn't matter what league we're going to be in. You're going to be supporting us, whether we're in the Premier League or League 2 or the National League, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, one of the players, just before you go, Ethan, Dom Solanke, he's a player that's had a lot of stick last season. But towards the end of last season, he scored a few goals for us, didn't he? Have you got high hopes for him this season?
Yeah, I think he's going to score a lot of goals and a lot of assists.
And he did that today. And your man, Jefferson Lerma, cracking goal, wasn't it? That goal for 2-1, really good strike, wasn't it?
Yeah, great strike, really strong.
What would you be saying to like if you were Jason Tyndall, what would you be saying to the players after a performance like that? Because it wasn't perfect, was it?
Not really, but like great result. Keep the way that you're playing and like keep possession.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Ethan, thank you very much for coming on again. It's really nice to have you on, and anytime you want to come on, please give me a shout and just really good to have you on. That's Ethan Burney, Cherries legend. Ethan. Cheers, mate. And Morgan Scott has come back in as well, and we've got Keith Thomas here as well. I'm not sure why you're muted, Morgan, but I'll just unmute you there. Right, we're going to finish up in the next 5 minutes then. So, Kirk, obviously, JT ball, we were all kind of wondering how it's going to go, but like initial signs are all right, but it's probably too early to judge at this point in time, isn't it?
Yeah, the important thing was today that we got the 3 points. But I have been really interested to see how this Graham Jones, Stephen Purchase and JT is going to work. And from the 2 games from last week and today, it excites me. Not perfect, as we've said. I said today as well this morning, I can't see us keeping clean sheets. But if we're effective going forward and we're ruthless like we were last week and like we were today, if that's how we win football matches, it's fun for us. It's not great from a football coach point of view, but you're winning football matches and it's exciting for the fans.
Yeah, Craig, your thoughts from today?
I think we come up against a very well drilled side. We showed the quality that we've got. I think there is teams that are going to cause us more problems in this division. There's going to be easier teams that we come up against than Blackburn. But, the signs are good. I know I did send you a picture, and I sent Morgan and Kirk the picture as well of the beach celebrations. Yeah. So, hopefully, it's a little bit too early for that. But, that is something, that the players can aspire to. What we did 6 years ago now. And, hopefully, I think with the side we've got and based on that performance, I think if we don't get in the playoffs, I think we'd be every right to be disappointed. And I think JT would be as well. So the signs are good. A very good performance against a very, very well-drilled side.
Steve, in terms of the teams that went down, most of them are being tipped to be there or thereabouts. So, are there any teams that weren't in the Premier League last season, i.e. the ones that were still, the Championship sides, that are going to challenge this season? Because a lot of people are mentioning the B word, Brentford. They seem to be there. Anyone else that you've been impressed with?
Well, there's quite a few, to be honest. There's potential in a lot of teams in the Championship. There's some big names, as we all know. Derby always seem to be there or thereabouts, don't they?
Yeah.
They all seem to be a threat. Wednesday got off to a good start, didn't they? I watched your press pass the other day with the lady from Sheffield Wednesday, and she was saying some good things about them. I thought, even though Middlesbrough lost last night, I thought they created a lot of chances against Watford. I thought they were unlucky to lose that game. So there's some big sleeping giants in this league, and there's some good managers out there as well in this league. So I think we've got to be wary. Quite a few. Swansea's another one. I think could do well.
Forest
Forest. Absolutely.
Norwich are going to be, and they've been stable. Fark is still
there. They
there.
came down, didn't they?
Yeah, they were one of the teams that did come down. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the additions that they've made, I mean, Watford, they posted. I said on one of the previous videos, they posted a tweet out with their squad, and you look at it thinking, how on earth did they retain some of their players like Sarr? Like, how's he not gone? Don't understand.
Oh, they've made some good signings as well, and quite a few of them as well. Also, haven't they? Yeah, it's going to be tricky.
Birmingham as well. They've made some movement in the transfer market, so they might be a team, a dark horse team. Coventry, don't know much about them either. So there's some dangerous teams down here. It is not a Mickey Mouse league. With regards to transfers, I think you could see something left field. Obviously, Graham Jones has got a relationship with Roberto Martinez. I wonder if they'll dip into the Belgium and Dutch transfer market and see what's happening there. Because if you're going to play the 3-4-3, you've got to have technically good players like Denjuma going forward. So, and Tyndall's already talking about he wants 2 or 3 more players that he sees coming in. So, I don't know. I'm not so sure about Pugh, but I do think, obviously a striker and a defender will be useful. Craig, what's John Swift like, midfielder? Would he be adequate if we went through a 3 in the midfield? Would he be someone you would look at?
Yeah, my brother sing his praises quite a lot. I've seen a bit of him, and he's a very, very confident player. He's a player that I understand that they're trying to build their side around. And the problem with Reading is that I think they weren't they spending 306% of their income or something ridiculous that? It's something ridiculous. So, they've got Chinese billionaires behind them. However, they've still got to be financial fair play. I think that will catch up with them eventually. And eventually, if they're going to have to bring that wage bill down, and they'll have to accept something. As much as they, from what I've heard up there, they're trying to build a side around him. Eventually, they'll have to give in. That's why I think Puskas, would be a good signing, and I think we'd probably get him for cheaper than what they originally paid him for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the transfer. Remember, we've got until October, so we're not in a rush, and we've got to get the right players. If we're going to play this system, which is fluid, which is going to be more, flexibility in positional play and technical ability, and it's about not just rushing in and say, "Oh, we'll have Pugh." No doubt about Pugh as work ethic and what have you, but I think we need that little bit more quality. Certainly, we would need to look at the left back position if Smith really did struggle with the inside left back position. He meant to go into the midfield and shore that up, and he didn't know where he was going. So that could be something we might have to look at. I think he's more comfortable on the right anyway, so we might need a backup for Rico. And you might see Rico, as I say, going into the centre-back position to give us that long pass, that more direct passing. I think we definitely lack that. But the shape, I really, really like at the moment. I like it. I think it's certainly better than the insipid 4-4-1 we were playing last season. But it's about flexibility and technical ability. And I think Graham Jones might be talking to Roberto Martinez and having a look at their players, some youngsters over there. I mean, they'd be left field, but they'd be technically astute and they'd be quite adept at playing that 3-4-3, or the 4-3-3. So that's the way I could possibly say.
So what we're going to do, we're going to finish up now, but what I'm going to do, because otherwise, I think we could go on for a long time. I'm going to come to each of you individually, and
the missus is out, so I've got nothing on.
we have to.
Can we just talk all night, Steve?
I've missed the last about 3 or 4, haven't I?
Well, what I can do, I can end broadcast, so the viewers don't have to be put through it, but you two can carry on. Yeah. What I'm going to do is come to you individually, and we're going to end on a positive, right? Even in the worst of circumstances this season, we're going to try to end on a positive note, which sometimes could be hard and sometimes uncalled for. So I'm going to come to you individually and say a positive thing about the performance that we saw today, and try not to repeat each other if possible. So, firstly, I'll do it in clockwise. So I'm going to go that way. Craig, Jamie Carragher, what did you think of today? What was a positive thing for you?
Certainly the opportunities we made for ourselves. I think personally the goals were brilliant. Danjuma's was fantastically taken. Nobody expected Stacey. So yeah, most definitely, we've got goals from all areas of our team.
Steve?
I just to see the front sort of three just intertwine as they did and create the chances they created. I just think we looked very good on the counter attack. So yeah, positive on that front.
Yeah. Okay, Keith, I'll come to you. But James on chat says Sam requires a toilet break. I don't know what you're talking about. And also, he said early on about I was gonna get a star on my shirt. I may get some Tipex out and just whack
the
one
Betway Cup star.
Yeah, the Betway Cup star. Keith, positive from today?
Oh, it was much more fluid. Makes a change. It's not rigid. It's the interchange at the top three has obviously been highlighted, but it is just much more fluid and it's much more positive. And I think that's what we can take from this. And maybe we found our formation. Don't know yet.
Maybe. Kirk?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's that we've adapted to this new way of playing that's slightly different. But we're really clinical. We're really ruthless, and it's exciting to see. We ain't going to play it for 46 games because it's impossible to play like that for a whole squad. There'll be players that will need to adapt, but it looks like the formation and the way of playing that we're going to sort of try and play as much as possible. I just thought I'd pick out as well, just before obviously we go, Sam, that I haven't mentioned Ryan Brewster yet. Because I seem to mention that every time. So while you're all
still available.
He's still available. So while he's still available, every time we come on, I'm just going to mention Ruan Brewster. Now for me,
Eze's not though.
Oh,
no. Did he get any minutes today?
Don't know.
And also, is this a show where you've not mentioned John Terry as well?
Maybe. I mean, for me, if we're looking for 3 players, and that's Ryan Brewster, Jack Wilshere, and Mark Pugh, I'll be happy.
Yeah, and James on chat said, "Who's that knocking?" Like there was someone knocking on. I could hear the audible knocks, and James was wondering, like, is it Pugh? Maybe it is. Maybe he'll sign down Morgan. Positive from that game for you?
Just the amount of space that we created. I thought we did quite well today, to be honest with you. I thought there was a lot of positive, but I thought we were putting the ball down the wide. Danjuma was drawing the foul. That was fantastic. And we made a sub before the... I know it wasn't particularly the best sub in the world, but he made a substitution before the 80th minute, so maybe that's a bonus. Who knows?
Brilliant, guys. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. Craig, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Steve. All the best.
Happy new season to you all.
Happy new season. Keith, thank you very much for coming on, buddy.
Up the cherries, mate.
Up the cherries. Also, Morgan, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Soph.
And do you call me Sophie? And also Kirk, thank you very much.
Cheers, Sam. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, Sarah. Right, thank you very much for watching today. 3-2, good start for AFC Bournemouth, and long may it continue. Whilst we're not at the stadium, we'll be doing these. Hopefully, we can be back at some point soon. But pending the news from the government on Monday, it might not be for a while. But either way, at least we can watch our Cherries week in, week out. So we'll be here to fill the void. The podcast will be out on Monday morning. So if you want to listen to the whole audio edition with myself and Jeff, you can download it on your podcast, or the video format will just be on YouTube. And if you've enjoyed this video as well, do remember to give it a thumbs up and a like and a subscribe as well. Really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video. Up the cherries.